Oh my goodness. Can you believe it's been 1 year since...
My birthday?
No, your birthday is March 25th.
A year since I had a hiccup attack and Cap told me to take the day off because it kept making her laugh?
That was a month ago, Ryan. It's been a year since Russia invaded Ukraine.
Almost 1 year ago now, Russia invaded Ukraine.
Ukrainian officials say they are bracing for a major new offensive later this month.
Officials are warning that new waves of attacks could be launched by Russia for symbolic reasons around February 24th.
Ah, good gravy, you're right. We've gotten a bunch of messages from tenors about it.
Then I think it's time for an update. I'm Pamela Kirkland.
And I'm Ryan Willard. It's Wednesday, February 15th.
This is the 10 News.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's been a whole year since Russia invaded Ukraine, and a lot has happened. And with all of the other things happening in the world, it can be tough to track.
So we reached out to you, our tenors, to find out what you wanted to know.
We're going to do a little Q&A to look back at where things started and where things are today. What you got, tenors?
This is Avery, and I'm 9 years old. Where is Ukraine?
Great question. Ukraine is a large country on the European continent, north of the Black Sea and southwest of Russia. It's known as the breadbasket of Europe because so much grain is grown there.
Hi, Ryan and Pamela. This is Carlo, and I'm 11 turning 12. Why did Russia invade?
In order to understand the why of Russia's invasion, we have to go back to 2014, when Russia annexed, meaning they took over, a region of Ukraine called Crimea. Ever since then, Russia fought for control of eastern Ukraine, especially regions close to the Russian border, like the Donbas region.
In the years since Russia annexed Crimea, the Ukrainian government worked toward joining the European Union and partnered with the allied countries of the North American Treaty Organization, also called NATO. The Russian government views NATO as a threat, and since Ukraine is its closest neighbor, they didn't want Ukraine to join NATO.
Hi, Ryan and Pamela. This is Hannah, and I'm 12 years old. What happened when Russia invaded?
Let's rewind to last year.
Breaking news at 11, a Russian invasion of Ukraine is underway as troops move in.
It started before dawn. Ukraine woke to explosions around the capital, Kiev.
In a special televised address on Russian state TV, Mr. Putin said Russia had been left with no choice but to defend itself against what he said were threats from Ukraine.
On February 24th, 2022, Russia launched what they called a special operation against Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin estimated that their special operation in Ukraine would only last a few days. It turned out he underestimated the strength of the Ukrainian people. Russia sent tanks to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, which a lot of people used to pronounce Kiev, but which we now know is pronounced Kyiv. In their advance, the Russian army made critical mistakes, and the Ukrainian armed forces were able to keep the Russians from taking Kyiv.
After weeks of fighting, Russia withdrew from the capital and focused on the east and south of Ukraine. For months, Russia fought to gain control of more Ukrainian territory, but the Ukrainian forces surprised the world by holding Russia off.
Jumping ahead to October 2022, a key bridge used by Russian forces was destroyed. And in response, Moscow targeted Ukrainian infrastructure, trying to keep Ukraine from being able to fight back. Despite that, Ukraine pushed Russia back across the Dnipro River in December. Then, Ukrainian forces used drones to target the Russian military in Russia. And in January, they knocked out a building housing Russian troops in Ukraine.
How are the Ukrainian people doing?
All throughout the war, we've seen amazing bravery from the Ukrainian people, like the hundreds of volunteers who saved lost and injured pets. Animal shelters all across Ukraine have rescued thousands of cats and dogs, even when the people running the shelters were in danger from the Russian military. Volunteers even work to save wild animals at zoos, animal refuges, and safari parks.
And Ukrainian women have taken on roles that they previously couldn't, joining the military and going into combat. Women are also driving transports, raising money, volunteering, and still caring for their families.
Is anyone helping Ukraine?
Absolutely. European countries have welcomed 7.8 million Ukrainian refugees since the start of the war. And a few weeks ago, Ukraine's NATO allies, Germany and the US, agreed to send tanks to help Ukraine fight the Russians. The US is also sending long-range missiles to Ukrainian forces.
The EU has pledged its support for Ukraine, but has also said they won't fast-track EU membership for Ukraine. That could be because of suspected corruption within Ukrainian politics.
Recently, several high-profile Ukrainian leaders have been dismissed or resigned. The wealthy leaders have been accused of corruption and money laundering, using their positions and power to get rich.
That kind of corruption is something the EU is firmly against, and despite Ukrainian President Zelensky's work reforming the country's top leadership, it will be some time before Ukraine can join the EU.
Which means it'll be some time before Europe forms a united front against Russia.
What's gonna happen next?
For now, Ukraine's allies are offering aid and support. President Zelensky has said there is fierce fighting in eastern Ukraine and that Ukraine is expecting fresh attacks from Russia later in February.
Who's going to win the war in Ukraine?
It's very hard to say. No one knows for sure. The best we can do is keep you posted on what's unfolding in Ukraine. If you want to know more about how you can help, take a look at our show notes for some links to organizations helping Ukraine. And when things are happening in the world that you want to know more about, give us a call at 1-877-TEN-NEWS and let us know.
1 year ago, most people knew very little about Ukraine.
This past year, we learned a lot about life there, plus some super cool facts about the country.
Here are 5 fascinating facts we learned about Ukraine. Ukraine has 50 world records in the Guinness Book of World Records, including 2 for extreme egg decorating. Married people in Ukraine wear their wedding rings on their right hand instead of their left.
Whoa.
Ukraine is home to the second busiest McDonald's in the world.
Would you like fries with that?
Ukraine is the world's largest producer of sunflower seeds. If you took all the sunflower fields in Ukraine, they'd pretty much cover the entire state of New Jersey.
No way!
There's a Ukrainian island known as Snake Island because of who lives there. A bunch of snakes. When the last ice age ended and sea levels rose, the now endangered golden lancehead pit vipers were trapped on the island. And those are 5 fascinating facts we learned about Ukraine.
Welcome to the trivia room.
Trivia time!
Heck yes, Pamela. Please hop on up on the trivia throne for today's trivia question. You ready?
Let's do it, Tessa.
What is going on here?
Trivia on the 10.
Ukraine is home to some beautiful and unique music. Ukraine's also home of the trembita. But can you guess what the trembita is? Is it A, the world's biggest drum, B, the world's longest wind instrument, or C, the world's tallest accordion? Tenors, did you guess it? Pamela, what's your answer?
Trembita. I think it's C, the world's tallest accordion.
The answer is B. The trembita is the world's longest wind instrument. It's a wooden trumpet that can be as big as 8 meters. That's 24 feet.
Wow!
In mountain villages before telephones, the trembita was used to announce important events like marriages, births, and deaths. Here's what it sounds like. Tenors, do you want to sit on the trivia throne and share your trivia knowledge? Visit the10news.com/contact to get in touch, and we might have you on the show.
Wow, we just dropped a lot of knowledge.
Well, when the tenors know what they want to know, we got to keep them informed.
Truth be told. Hey, we should give special 10 News snaps to one of our listeners.
But before we do, here's a quick note for the grown-ups.
Hello, I'm Mick Sullivan, the host of The Past and the Curious, a history podcast for kids and families. We're excited that in addition to our show, we are able to announce a new book called I See Lincoln's Underpants. It's about the times that underwear and the people wearing them made history. It's a middle grade book, and you'll learn all about Garrett Morgan's heroic pajama rescue, Amelia Bloomer's namesake undies, and the time a group of soldiers saw President Lincoln's homemade underwear, among other things. Published by Heart Ally Press, I See Lincoln's Underpants is available wherever books are sold. More info at thepastandthecurious.com.
Time for 10 News snaps.
Tenor Me Jr. 2312 wrote this review of the 10 News. At first, I was a little skeptical. But now I love this podcast. I listen to it every morning.
Thanks, Me Jr., and thanks for listening to the 10 News. 10 Things You Need to Know drops every Tuesday, and our in-depth reports drop every Wednesday. But if you want some bonus content, you can join the Tenors Club on our website or on Apple Podcasts. Club members get special bonus content and more.
The 10 News is a co-production of Small But Mighty Media and Next Chapter Podcasts.
The 10 News creative team is listening to Ukrainian music and includes Tracy Crooks, Pete Musto, and Tessa Flannery.
Our production director is Jeremiah Tittle, and our executive producers are Donald Albright and show creator Tracy Leeds Kaplan.
I'm Ryan Willard.
And I'm Pamela Kirkland. Thanks for listening to the 10 News. Keep checking in and we'll keep you updated on what's going on around the world.
Meet the authors and illustrators making books just for kids like you. From award winners to up-and-comers to the storytellers behind those forever books you'll never forget. The Children's Book Podcast is a show for kids ages 6 and up, all about exploring the way that stories can help us feel seen, understood, and valued. You can find the Children's Book Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are found.